No intro.
We're going in raw.
We're going in raw. Close that door too. We're live. We are live. So we're going to react basically to the first preseason game, week 1 of the preseason. We had the Cowboys at the Denver Broncos. It by no means was pretty. It honestly, the game kind of looks how AJ looks right now.
Hey, disheveled
A little bit. You look like you were
rough.
You know what? Not only was it the first game of the Cowboys preseason, it was kind of the first game of our preseason, right? Like we were ramping up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So a lot did happen. Mostly bad, not much good.
Well,
to be honest,
right away, we got to talk about the quarterback situation here, our backup scenario, something that is could very well become an issue for the Cowboys, right?
Shit, let's get this out of here. It looks like we're fucking.
Get
The biggest problem or the biggest noticeable thing was probably, and a big talking point going in, was the fact that we need to figure out who our backup quarterback was. Everyone thought that Cooper Rush was pretty much the guy, but after today, is he the guy?
Well, Cooper Rush went 12 for 20, so, I mean, not really good at all. That's probably actually below average, 12 for 20, right? 84 yards, 1 interception, so nothing to be excited about. And then you have Ben DiNucci, who comes on, who last year didn't perform very well at all.
No.
And Ben DiNucci actually had a very good NFL game last year.
So before we even get to DiNucci, let's talk Cooper Rush. So you basically have the quarterback. We'll give a little background noise. The quarterback competition right now is it was believed it was only a 2-man race, which was Ben DiNucci and Will Grier, right? Those were kind of the two guys that you were expecting to fight for the starting reps in the preseason.
Yeah.
Will Grier didn't even play. So
Yeah.
Cooper Rush actually ended up playing 3 quarters.
Played in 3 quarters, absolutely.
He played 3 of the 4 quarters.
Played
today.
the whole first half, and then a legitimate amount of that third quarter as well.
And you didn't really see much from Cooper Rush today. There was a lot of errant throws. There was a lot of throws where, and I get it, you don't have the best offensive line blocking for you, but the problem was it didn't look like it was the offensive line's issue. It looked like it was Cooper Rush with his reads. How many times did the ball get knocked down?
Yeah. He was throwing into the lineman's hands.
Every second or third throw, it looked like Cooper Rush was throwing it right at. It looked like J.J. Watt was playing on the line against him.
I would say this: the thing is, you're coming in here, you need to make a name for yourself, and it doesn't really matter what you're playing with. Like me and you, and the rest of the coaching staff.
Yeah,
we're looking,
who we will talk to tomorrow.
We will talk about face to face. But we're looking for the game changer who can play in doesn't matter the conditions, you know?
Exactly.
And so, like, the fact that you can make a couple throws here or there, okay, that's great. But if you can't do it, and the excuse is, yeah, but if I only had I'm not saying that you're making this excuse for them, but I'm saying if the player came up and said, well, give me the first, it's like, yeah, but we're not looking for that guy. We have that guy. We have the guy who can perform on the first team. We're looking for the guy who's going to come in and make a disturbance because it's a limited roster.
This is the issue. The issue is Dak Prescott, when his first preseason in 2016, it didn't matter if he was with the first, the second, or the thirds. He made plays. You instantly knew Dak Prescott in preseason football could play in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Right now, after watching 3 quarters of Cooper Rush, I don't know if I get that same feeling.
But it's shocking because he'd had that great game, that real like.
Live
what do you
game.
weigh what do you weigh more? This most recent experience that we just saw from him or the actual game experience that he
as fans, we're always going to be judgmental and go for the first fucking thing, right? But the coaching staff, they're going to judge him by a whole, right? Like, sure, he had a bad game today, but they see him every day in practice. So the coaching staff at the end of the day is going to know who's playing better. Like, yeah, Ben DiNucci looked better than Cooper Rush today, but the coaching staff's going to know who put together a better camp, put together a better offseason, put together a better last year. So it's going to be judged upon that, not so much as like today's game. Today's game, maybe Cooper Rush was just not, he just had an off day, but today's game was, he did not help himself.
For all we know, from if you maybe take a step back, you can look and see that it potentially was the third strings that we were looking at tonight.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
By the end of the game, and like DiNucci was probably playing against the third strings.
Well, I'm saying DiNucci and Rush. If Greer's our number 2,
Yeah.
then DiNucci and Rush are playing for number 3.
Well, but we don't know. That's why we need like
Yeah.
Greer's stock got hurt by not playing in this game.
You
would've-
think so?
Oh fuck yeah! I would have liked
Oh,
to see him.
okay.
I would have liked to see.
I thought maybe they didn't play him because
No, I think he's hurt. So the way I would have liked to see it, if DiNucci's your starting quarterback, I would have loved to see Greer at least come in as soon as. Sorry, I keep calling fucking Rush DiNucci. If Cooper Rush is your starter today, as soon as he started to struggle somewhere in the second quarter, I would have liked to see with the same offense, the exact same offense. I would have liked to see Greer get put in there. You know what I mean? So he's playing with the exact same guys, same play calls. That's what would have liked to see. We didn't see that. We saw Cooper Rush play 3 quarters, DiNucci play the 4th. At the end of the day, the coaching staff's going to have to really determine if it's like a weird shuffling situation they have to do. But I would really like to see more DiNucci maybe with better guys.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is, DiNucci had a poor. He's definitely stood out more in this game in one game. So like I give him that, but previously to this, like I guess the question is like how much do you hold on to from the season previously to the previous season and that performance? Because DiNucci did not show up and perform better previous year.
So we got some chat going on. We got the Lunatic saying McCarthy and discipline, 2 words that did not go together versus Denver. Houston wanted reps with DiNucci after Cooper Rush. We got Walt Dog saying sign Antonio Brown.
Well, let's go back to that first comment there.
Okay.
McCarthy, and something that came up and we noticed, and let me just read you the stats here real quick, and then you can go off, King. Okay.
Yep.
Penalties. 17 penalties for 129 yards against the Cowboys, 8 against the...
Can you quickly Google me 2021 average penalties per team in the NFL?
Yeah.
Like I want to see where I think 16 would have been possibly the highest amount in a game in 2021. So I know the Cowboys had 14 in against the San Fran 49ers in playoffs, and I'm pretty sure they had 14 on Thanksgiving, and I'm pretty sure that would have been like top of the league. So 16, they had 16 penalties today. And that goes right back to what DeLunatic's saying. 16 penalties.
17, dude. For 129 yards. That's a full field.
Oh, they had 17.
17.
So they had 17 penalties for 129 yards. That is just, and the timing of the penalties was just atrocious. So
I'm trying to find that average. So
the issue with that is we basically are picking right up off of last season, our last game of the year, which was the playoffs. We had 14 penalties. We come back after an off season and we actually one up it and go 17. A big issue with these penalties also was Tyler Smith had a couple big holding calls. Our first round pick coming out of college, his biggest problem or biggest knock would have been his penalties, and his first preseason action isn't changing that narrative at all.
Well, let me just break this down for you. We're looking at the 2021 numbers and 2020. So the Green Bay Packers went from 5.1 to 4.1. They're the number 1 team in the league for penalties per game. So 4.1 penalties per game. Wow.
Is that the best, though?
That's the best. That's the best. Now I go to the last, of course. It's Dallas. We went from 6.0 in 2020 to 7.8, which is a 0.5 difference.
So 7.8 last year was the worst amount per game.
Yeah, so but let's say 8.
Yeah, but we did 10 more, 9 more.
I know.
Than that
Yeah.
And like I was
Not
saying,
good.
The biggest issue with that is Tyler Smith, our first round pick, his biggest question mark coming into the league was his penalties, and he had 2 detrimental calls, holding calls on the line on big gains, actually. So it's something that is kind of worrisome. I think out of the biggest take out of the whole game isn't so much our backup quarterback play. It was the penalties, because penalties means undisciplined, which is basically back to your coaching staff, right?
Yeah, it does reflect back on the entire game plan. And also, like, just if you have a bunch of players who are, if this is the trend and we're going to see this, it should be a red flag, because what it means is that there's not a onus on keeping yourself, like, in check. Right?
Yeah.
Like making sure your hands are not going up into the face mask or what. I don't know. That's what I'm looking for, is trying to find the actual penalties, what was called.
There was a lot of holds.
A lot of holds.
There was a lot of false starts. There was a lot of, I think we had 2 unnecessary roughness or roughing the passers, which I kind of thought were bullshit. I didn't think Sam Williams had a roughing the passer, which did not, I don't think should have been a roughing the passer call, which brings me actually up to Sam Williams, our second round pick. He didn't really make any splash plays, which is a little bit worrisome because he did play a lot, and you're playing against backup players, right?
Yeah.
So if you can't get pressure, like imagine Micah Parsons last year was playing against, like Micah barely even played in the preseason, but imagine Micah was playing against second and third string tackles.
In this,
like if Micah was in this game,
yeah,
last year, if Micah was in this situation, he's 100%. You're going to see him getting pressure. You're going to see him on the quarterback.
He would have stood out.
So Sam Williams not standing out is almost, it's kind of be tricky. But what do you got for stats? See, you got stats up. What do we got? Well, here, let me go back to chat here for a sec. We got that itch. He said, go Broncos. That horse should be riding the Cowboy. And who's going to win the NFC East this year? I mean, history says not the Cowboys.
History says because of the...
If someone wins it, someone new wins it every year, it seems like. So, I don't know. He might just be trolling, but...
well, of course.
I hope
he's coming in a Broncos fan, but we appreciate you coming in and just...
Yeah, we like to hear the shit
talk.
Look,
we love the shit talk too, so bring it. But I think the Cowboys have a really good chance. Injuries are going to play a big part in the success of the Cowboys. And look, that's probably... that's so cliche because you could say that
healthiest team has the best chance.
Yeah.
So what do we got for some stats here that stick out to you?
One thing I want to bring up, because we haven't talked about it yet, but it's a fun stat to start off with, is Nahshon White actually had Nahshon Wright, had 7 solo tackles, and we saw him miss a couple big plays tonight.
Well, Nahshon Wright was probably stuck out the most on defense, and not for good reasons. He was burned for 2. I wouldn't even say burned for 2 touchdowns. The 1 touchdown, he had pretty good coverage. It was just a great ball and a great catch. But the second one, he didn't really seem to react. He kind of just was running and just put his arm up. Like, he had the coverage on the guy, but he didn't really make a play on the ball.
Well, I think he even looked back for it, but then just didn't make the ball play and didn't running react with the player. Yeah.
So the problem with Nahshon Wright, he's had a good camp, but he stuck out tonight because he was on the receiving end of A, 2 touchdowns, and B, another big chunk play. So it sucks to see that happen to someone that you really hope is going to vie for some possibly your 4th CB, because it brings back to that point of that cliche of staying healthy. But if any of our starting CBs go down, like Trevon Diggs or Anthony Brown, well, now you got to put Nahshon Wright in, and he just got burned by fucking Josh Johnson and wide receiver 3 and 4 for the Broncos.
Two other stats here to look at is Jake Ferguson, 3 receptions, 29 yards, 3 targets. So he caught every ball that was thrown on him. And also Simi Fihoko.
Yep.
2 receptions, 18 yards. So not a lot of yards, but
a tug.
Two targets and a tug as well. So both of those guys, interesting to see. Not a lot of action for them, but the fact that they both caught every pass that was thrown at them, that's
it's promising. Ferguson looked good. I liked him. He's our 4th round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Fiocco was our 6th round pick last year. It's good to see both those guys making catches. I would have actually liked to see more of those guys. Like Fiocco didn't seem like he got in till later on in the game. Another guy that I was really excited to watch play was Turpin, who kind of had a couple misreads on returning kicks. The guy looks fast as fuck, but like these are those games that
was it nerves?
It could be. It could have possibly been big. Big nerves on the guy.
Well, what he did do was we saw him miss the first 2, so
waved him off.
Waved both of those off.
Fair caught him,
and was upset with. He
he knew as soon as he fair catches and looks up and the closest guy's 5 yards away.
Yeah.
He knows that's enough room for him to make some noise.
So he went 2 kick returns, 2 for 47, so 23 and a half average, and then punt returns 1 for 10, so nothing
Nothing's
so.
crazy, but he does look like he has some speed.
Hey, if you can get it at 10 yards off a punt, I mean, everything's okay.
Everything's okay.
If you can get 10 yards off a punt, I mean, it's not great, but it's 10 yards.
So what else were we going to touch on here? We were going to touch on penalties was the big thing.
Oh, Russian Danucci.
We talked about that.
Oh, did we? Okay. Penalties and then and the cornerbacks. That was
so we
it.
really kind of touched on everything we wanted. Next week we play against the Chargers, which I expect to see our starters in a little bit, at least a little bit. Like I'd like to see a Dak Prescott drive.
You say that the second game is probably the starter game now.
It should be.
Should be.
You don't want to put them in the third one and make them play a week before they're actually going to play, right?
Yeah.
So I think the second one's pretty much going to be the dress rehearsal, which is exciting because you get to finally see some of the guys. Like you might get to see Micah Parsons, you might get to see some D-Law, Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, all the dudes that we pay money to watch, the guys that we wear jerseys, might get to see some TP20.
Woo!
But all in all, terrible, terrible game tonight. I thought we played piss poor. And the more concerning fact is I think a lot of it was to do with behind-the-scenes stuff that should have been shored up in the offseason. That seems like it's just a continuing problem, which needs to get nipped in the butt ASAP.
All right, well, fuck, here, hang on. Can we do this?
Yeah, try playing us out here. Okay, for not the bandwagon boys, but for the bandwagon boy and your host, Anthbest, we will be back on, I don't know, we'll do a midweek episode probably.
Yeah.
Possibly Wednesday or something.
Is Adam back this week?
Oh, maybe not, but we'll figure it out.
Okay, whatever. Here we go.
Whatever. Okay, thanks for stopping by. Hit that like button, bitches.